Hello my friends, again we continue with the great news coming from the Bakhmut city. You can see that the counteroffensive of Ukrainian army is ongoing over there. It was quite light during the first day, then our guys took this part, but now we can see that we push more reinforcements to that area in attempt to encircle the Bakhmut city. So let's check the timeline. It was yesterday and it is today. Clearly you may see the advantage of Ukrainian forces also from the northern or northwest part. And little by little we push from two of the directions to cut the Russian army trying to encircle them in that area. The only way for them is to get out from this place. The good thing for us that we unblocked the motorway from the Chasiv Yar towards the Bakhmut city. So now we can supply our guys in the only district that still holds inside the Bakhmut city itself. And Wagners continue to push our guys in that district. Even though Wagner claims that they've took more territory and they entered the district, but we don't see any change on the military map. And based on my information, I may confirm that they are still away from that district, and mostly Wagners went to defense in the city. The problem for the Russian forces is that they've took all of those territories for many weeks, and they spent lots of the resources and also human lives to achieve the progress in that area, taking the ground. And now just in 3 days Ukraine was able to liberate 7.4 square kilometers of the land, and it's just the beginning of this offensive operation that is done by Ukrainian forces. Why is it so successful? Because Russians run. Here we are speaking mostly not about the Wagner forces, however we got some information that they also run, but the regular Russian army runs faster. The popular Russian blogger Prigozhin today confirmed that, and he also says that if it goes like this, soon Bakhmut will be encircled by Ukrainian forces, and he asked Shoigu or any kind of the other big management of the regular Russian forces to come to Bakhmut and solve this issue. But the Russian management doesn't have Prigozhin because they are in a big conflict between each other, and it's more profitable for the Russian army command to let Wagners to be encircled in the Bakhmut city, and they may blame the Wagner forces for wrongdoing, they may call them traitors, and so on. So indeed it could be a big trap for the Wagner forces in the city itself. Why is it possible? Because Wagners do not have enough human resources, first of all, to continue their assault missions from the Bakhmut city. The main tactics of Wagner was to use the prisoners. They sent them just on the front lines, and from the flanks they used the most experienced soldiers. But now they cannot do it, and they're quite limited. Prigozhin say that he cannot send reinforcements to those areas, to the flanks, so Russian regular army have to secure them. Because if he sends the forces, they will not be able to secure their territory in the Bakhmut city itself. So as for me, Wagners have just one choice over there: to retreat from the Bakhmut city. Otherwise, there might be encirclement of the Bakhmut city together with Prigozhin's army. The Ukrainian soldiers are quite positive about this scenario, and from the videos I was able to see on Telegram, oh my god, Russians really run. They have some sort of the panic attack, and they were not prepared for the defense in those regions on the flanks. It was their assault operation in the Bakhmut city, and now it turns upside down for them. So today I saw the video how they sent really reinforcements of the regular Russian army forces to the northern part of the Bakhmut area, and our artillery worked well over there, and they had to retreat. They've lost one of the track, and soldiers just run on their own feet. Obviously, Ukrainian army also has the losses. I saw the video how our tank was targeted with some sort of the TOW missile, and also our BTR, so our guys also left the positions, but later on there was the backup forces, and we keep the pace of the counterattack. For more information and other videos, I highly recommend you to subscribe for my Telegram channel. It's available in the video description just below. There are no any advertisements. There is also the open group chat where you may speak with other people. Also So I check the comments sometimes, then I have the time, and there are many of the reactions how you can react on my posts. And I post there regularly, many times per day, the updated information. So I use it as my main resource, I would say, even compared to YouTube. On YouTube, I record at least one video per day, but on Telegram, I post regularly. So I highly recommend you to check my group. Seeing all of that picture, I wonder how fast our forces will go to Klishivka. I wonder if they will encircle the Russian forces here on this place. And I wonder if our guys will go to Yahidne. Well, I have almost no doubts about it. If Russia loses Yahidne and if they lose Klishivka, in that case, we will encircle the Bakhmut city for sure. Prigozhin warned the Russian military command about this scenario around 1 month ago. And now most of the Z patriots in Russia, they trust Prigozhin more compared even to Putin, and they blame the Russian command for these losses. Prigozhin wins the informational war against the Russian military command because he has some experience in that. They have some sort of the bot factories in Russia that produce the anti-Ukrainian or anti-Western content, also on Western media platforms. And now he's playing on the feelings of the Russian patriots, and he's actually performing the duties of the Russian president. The Russian president is not the commander of the Russian army anymore. Yes, he's the commander on the paper, but if you watch the Russian mainstream media, you will never find how Putin influenced this war. Basically, no orders from him about this stuff. He delegated everything to Gerasimov and Shoigu. But those have the main competitor nowadays, Prigozhin. So they put their army in a very bad situation. Their army have to run, and Prigozhin might be encircled with his Wagner forces inside the Bakhmut city. If Wagner army retreats from the Bakhmut, and I think that will be the scenario, Prigozhin will be accused as the traitor of Russia. Prigozhin already said about this, and he also accusing of betrayed the Russian military command that is not able to secure the flanks in Bakhmut because of this crazy stuff happening between them, and they're on the same war field. Let's say we are successful. So I'm very optimistic about this Bakhmut offensive operation that our guys are performing. Let's check the Wagner's map that they've published today, and you may spot the huge part of the land that Ukrainian forces were able to liberate. And this is the water reservoir in this area, and also here are some very important positions like hills on top, and from those positions you may target the Bakhmut city itself with the Russian armed forces. Plus, we have the information from Wagner that Ukrainian forces penetrated the defense line over here, and that 200 Russian brigade in that area left their positions. So they run and we move forward. Also, from what I understood, our artillery moves forward as well with our forces, because if Russians want to make the counterattack in some of the areas, they immediately appear under the artillery fire. So before I thought that the south was successful, but here we see that the northern part is more successful even compared to the south one. So our positions are not really far away from Yahidne. Yet we don't have the update on the military map of the deep state, but I'm sure it's gonna be updated tomorrow. So our guys went from this position, making 200 Russian assault rifle brigade to flee this territory. Actually, I expected this scenario to happen after Prigozhin's complaints 1 month ago, but I didn't expect that Russians would just run. On the northern part over here, there is no further movement of Ukrainian forces. We just keep this area secured to limit Wagners in Soledar. So if they will try to go to help the forces in Bakhmut, we're gonna push here more, moving to the Soledar city. Or it's better to say town. As for the rest parts of the front line, Avdiivka is stable, Marinka as well, Wuhledar also. However, we got the information from the Russian resources that Ukraine started to gather some of the boats here in this area, trying to cross the Dnieper River in the future. Plus, we got the information from the Western analytics that Ukraine is getting ready for the full-scale counterattack. What you see now in Bakhmut is not the full-scale counterattack that we are all waiting for. It will happen, I believe, on the southern part of Ukraine. So what we do right now is we counter Russian supplies. Today something was targeted in Melitopol and there is no light out there, no electricity. Plus today it was the rocket strike on Luhansk over here, and eyewitnesses said that there were some of the rockets that were launched from the Kramatorsk area. And let's measure the distance from the Ukraine-controlled territory towards Luhansk, somewhere over here. It's 85 kilometers, a little bit further than the classical range of the standard HIMARS rocket. So HIMARS for sure wasn't used for that attack on the Russian positions in Luhansk. So there were two strikes on the industrial area of the city and outside the city itself. No residential buildings were harmed. Unfortunately, I cannot publish the video on YouTube. For that, please go to my Telegram channel. What I can show you, however, are the traces that were filmed over the Kramatorsk city. So here you may see that the start was in the sky and there were two of the rockets flying. Some say that it was the Storm rocket cruise missile. Two missiles. But there were some of the debris found of the ADM-160 Bravo Malt rocket that is produced in the United States of America, and before we hadn't had any information that America supplied those rockets to Ukraine. So this is the debris and this is the rocket itself, and Russian side says that this rocket mostly used as the interference to deflect the attention of the air defense systems, to identify the positions of the air defense systems, and usually after those rockets the other rockets have been fired to target the objects. And here we have the remains of the factory that was the base of the Russian soldiers. Russian occupiers say that Ukraine used the Thunder, the Grom system that is capable to launch the long-range ballistic missiles, but the problem for this version is that we don't have those systems in Ukrainian army. Well, we have just one system and it's experimental, so not in use. With the help of the military analytics who analyzed the satellite images, this map was built. It shows the Russian defense lines on the south and all around Ukraine, as you can see it. So the most defended part, as you can see, is in this square. So Russia really expects the Ukrainian army to go on a counterattack from this position. They have several lines of defense and many trenches and lots of the dots that they were able to build out there. Plus, they also care about the defense of Crimea, so there you may see also several lines of defense, and mainly there are not many points where you can cross into Crimea. But I have some good news. Let's say I'm from Crimea myself and I know the history of this peninsula. It was never the issue for any army to enter Crimea from the north. The Russian army itself did it at least 4 times against Turks and later on against the Nazi Germans. Interesting information coming from the Euroactiv. They say that Ukraine lost around 13,000 troops during this war, and Russia lost something between 43 and 185,000. Well, you know that I'm Ukrainian and I'm pro-Ukrainian, but for me it's hard to believe that we've lost 13,000 soldiers during this conflict, or it's better to say war. From what I know, this number could be, unfortunately, much larger. The state-of-the-art Russian military attack helicopter Mi-28 today performed the self-demilitarization. It happened on the northern part of Crimea, Jankoy. Here you see this helicopter. It looks very similar to the construction of the Apache, and Apache is obviously much better. Russia lost already many of those, and they don't have a lot in their army. The Ukrainian Defense Ministry signed the contract for the Oplot tanks that are produced in Ukraine. This is quite a nice tank, and I would say it's much better compared to T-90 even. About the Abrams tanks, unfortunately, the delivery is scheduled on the autumn of this year. We all expected it to be much faster, but those tanks that were transported to Germany are now being used just for the training purposes. Why is it so slow? Because the United States, in cooperation with Ukraine and other allies, need to build the new infrastructure line to maintain those tanks. You may get those tanks tomorrow, but how would you maintain them? So it's the biggest question. It's not the European tank, and it's not the standard tank that we all got used to. So here the priority goes to the logistics and supply lines. But the tank itself is awesome, even though United States also say that they will remove some of the sensitive equipment that may go to the Russian hands. My friends, I'm gonna keep you updated on situation in Ukraine, and now please press the like to this video, and also if you want to support my job, you may find some of the links in the video description just below. You may support me on PayPal, Patreon, or you may use the sponsorship option on this YouTube channel. My friends, thank you so much for your help and for your kind support. I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.